Good afternoon and welcome to the national news on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. I am Nkamyang John. First, the headlines. Vice President Shettima calls for urgent action to bridge skills gap. Senate recommends 200 million naira compensation for family of toddler killed by NDLEA. In business, Senate urges federal government to stop enriching discos with public funds. And in the world of sports, Super Falcons coach admits team struggled despite win over Botswana. Details shortly. And now to the news in details. Vice President Kashim Shettima has stressed the urgent need for a united front to address Nigeria's growing skills gap, describing it as a national priority critical to economic transformation. Speaking on Thursday, Vice President Shettima said the federal government is considering a nationwide audit and review of existing skills training centers across ministries, departments and agencies to align them with national development goals. In a statement titled FG Plans Nationwide Audit of Skills Centers to Transform Workforce, Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President on Information and Strategy, Stanley Nwacha, revealed that the move is part of efforts to develop a strategic and competitive workforce capable of meeting the country's evolving economic demands. Shettima reiterated that the council responsible for workforce development was established with a clear mandate to equip Nigerians with the right skills for national growth and prosperity. Former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan has alleged that key officials in his administration were deliberately targeted by the government that succeeded him in 2015, led by former President Muhammadu Buhari. Jonathan made the remarks in Abuja on Thursday during the public presentation of a memoir titled OPL 245, Inside Story of the $1.3 billion Nigerian oil block, written by former Attorney General of the Federation, Bello Adeoke. He was represented at the event by former Senate President Pius Anyam. The book sheds light on the controversial OPL 245 deal involving the sale of a lucrative oil block to Shell and ENI in 2011 for $1.3 billion US dollars. The deal became the center of international investigations and legal battles over allegations that $1.1 billion US dollars of the payment was used to bribe Nigerian officials and politicians. The oil block was initially awarded to Malabu Oil and Gas in 1998 during the Sani Abacha regime, but its sale in 2011 triggered years of global scrutiny. Adoke, a central figure in the transaction, was accused of wrongdoing under the Buhari Jonathan administration. However, he was later acquitted in both Nigerian and international courts. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tugai says the country will not succumb to pressure from the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump to accept deported Venezuelan nationals. Speaking to journalists on Thursday, Tugai stated that Nigeria has its own international challenges and will not serve as a dumping ground for Venezuelan prisoners deported amid Trump's renewed crackdown on undocumented migrants. His comment come as President Bola Tinubu returned from the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, held from July 6 to 7, 2025. Nigeria participated in the summit alongside other member nations of the influential BRICS bloc. On the final day of the summit, President Tinubu announced a 10% trade tariff on what he described as anti-American BRICS countries, including China, India, and Nigeria. However, Minister Tugay dismissed suggestions that Nigeria's involvement in the BRICS summit was the reason for the tariff threat, noting that diplomatic channels are open to address these matters. You are listening to the national news on Voice of the People, 96.1 FM Abuja. Still to come, business, entertainment, and sports. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. And now to Lagos, where Solomon Ofem is standing by with reports from the Commercial Net Center of Nigeria. Thanks for staying tuned. Here are major developments.
Hello there. Here is the news from Lagos. I am Solomon Ofem. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos has applauded Lagos State University LASU for being the most sought-after institution in the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME). Sanwo-Olu also urged the university community to collaborate with other bodies through the achievements of Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). The governor spoke at the 2025 SDGs certification training for deans, directors, and students of LASU at the university's main campus, Ojo. The governor was represented by Special Advisor on SDGs, Orioluwa Fini. LASU topped the list of sought-after institutions in the country in the 2025 UTME with 79,000 candidates. The University of Lagos came second with 58,645 candidates, choosing it as their first choice of institution. The governor said at the training that the state government and its agencies were known for excellence. The Lagos State House of Assembly has moved to improve landlord-tenant relations as the state tenancy bill passed the second reading stage. During plenary, Speaker Modashiru Obasa said the bill aimed to redefine the legal framework for tenancy agreements, rights, responsibilities, and eviction processes in Lagos. The bill is titled A Bill for a Law to Regulate the Relationship Between Landlords and Tenants in Lagos State. Obasa said the bill covers procedures for recovering premises and related matters across the state. If passed, the law would ensure that landlords, tenants, and agents fully understand their rights and responsibilities. Obasa urged members to consider tenants who depend on end-of-year bonuses and annual leave allowances to pay rent. He also highlighted the soaring cost of building materials and how landlords rely on rental income. Obasa stressed that government must reassess its housing promises and ensure they are fulfilled. The Lekki Deep Sea Port says the facility is currently handling only about 20% of its projected cargo throughput in spite of an installed capacity of 1.2 million TEUs. The Deputy Managing Director of the port, Daniel Odebe, made this known in an interactive session with newsmen in Lagos. Odebe attributed the shortfall to prevailing economic challenges that had impacted the port's operations in recent times. He said the port had initiated efforts to ramp up operations from 54,289 TEUs to 500,000 TEUs by the end of 2025. Odebe explained that the removal of fuel subsidies and the depreciation of the naira against major foreign currencies had also led to the decline in import. He, however, noted that cargo volumes were now gradually recovering. Lekki Port Executive also explained that transshipment activities to ports in neighboring and landlocked countries had similarly increased. He said Lekki Port currently receives between 10 to 12 vessels every month, and Lekki Port transshipment operations have also increased substantially. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, CP Olorundare Jimoh, has disclosed that over 30,000 police personnel will be deployed across the state for Saturday's local government elections. He disclosed this while addressing journalists during a pre-election security briefing in Lagos, saying the deployment comprises the existing 20,000 officers in the state command and an additional 10,000 personnel approved by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to reinforce the operation. According to him, the deployment covers all 13,325 polling units in the 20 local government areas and 33 local council development areas of the state. He also revealed that the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, which he co-chairs with the chairman of the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, has been instrumental in coordinating efforts between the police, military, and other security agencies. On Election Day, restrictions on vehicular movement will be enforced from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. The adjustment from the previously announced 3 a.m. start was made to accommodate emergency services and international travelers. And that's the news from Lagos. I am Solomon Ofem.
Thank you, Solomon, for those reports from Lagos. And now back to other developments on the national news, and particularly business, where the Nigerian Senate has called on the federal government to reconsider its approach to the power sector, warning against what it described as the indirect and enrichment of private electricity distribution companies with public funds. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Environment, Yunus Akintunde, made the remarks during Thursday's plenary session. Akintunde decried the current practice where government funds are used to purchase electricity transformers for communities only for the assets to end up under the control of private discos. He lamented that discos often charge communities for installation, yet claim ownership of the equipment once it is energized. According to Akintunde, Nigeria's first PhD holder in energy and environmental studies, the arrangement is both unjust and unsustainable, and he called for a restructured subsidy system that directly benefits ordinary Nigerians. He further noted that the electricity subsidies are not unique to Nigeria, pointing out that even advanced economies like the United Kingdom subsidize energy. And now to entertainment, where Nollywood actress and producer Asisat Shoromu has revealed how she permanently lost her original voice while filming on set. Speaking in an emotional interview on a television station, Azizat shared that the life-changing incident occurred during the production of the movie Akbase. Now, she said she was under immense emotional strain after learning that fellow actress Mommy Shorutu had lost her child on the very day filming was scheduled to commence. Overwhelmed by the heartbreak news, Azizat said she screamed uncontrollably, an act that damaged her vocal cords. The damage, she explained, left her voiceless throughout the production and persisted far beyond the usual recovery period. Despite seeking both medical and spiritual remedies, her voice never fully returned to its original state. Instead, she now speaks with a raspy, cracked tone that has become her new signature sound. The actress continues to feature in films, embracing her unique voice as part of her identity in Nollywood. And finally, in sports, head coach of the Super Falcons, Justin Madugu, has admitted that his team was far from their best in their narrow 1-0 win over Botswana. Despite dominating possession throughout the match, the 9-time African champions struggled to break down a resolute Messi defense and failed to register a single shot on target in the first half. Madugu, speaking after the game, praised Botswana for making things difficult for his side, acknowledging that the Falcons looked disjointed at times. The breakthrough came right at the 90th minute when Esther Okoronkwo set up Chiwendu Iheozo to fire home the winning goal. With the win, the Falcons now sit at the top of Group B and need just 1 point from their final group game against Algeria on Sunday to secure top spot. And that's the national news on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. Remember, your vigilance makes a difference. Protect yourself and your community. For eyewitness reports and news coverage of your events, please call 0807 660 6162. Follow VOP on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. The news was produced by Alice Ennis. I am Nkamian John. Thanks for staying tuned.